Good afternoon and welcome to Los Angeles, California, as we're joining live from Radio Row. My name is Kayla Brad. I'm here with co-host Roy Kessel, talking to one of my truly good friends who's doing great work, Mark Pattison. Good afternoon, Mark.
How you doing?
I'm so excited to see you in real life today. Mark, Higher Ground. Tell us a little bit about the work you're doing with Higher Ground and the film, the NFL film that's going on.
Well, for any of the following year, my daughter Amelia got mission critical with epilepsy in Tucson, Arizona.
Unmute yourself. I can't unmute you. And then just back up a little bit, okay? Go ahead.
Yeah. So with Chris Long, we partnered together on an organization he started called Water Boys, but it really exposed me to philanthropy and paying it forward. And so I wanted to use that platform that I had developed through the different exposure I was getting through the NFL and through my social media and everything else. And so I said, you know what, I want to jump in and I want to see what kind of money and funds I can raise to help my daughter who has epilepsy. So I partner with a group in Sun Valley, Idaho called Higher Ground. And together we've been able to raise over $150,000, actually $165,000 after last weekend. And now my public speaking, we're trying to redirect some of those funds as well. So, all in all, like, talk about giving back in the full circle of myself trying to get healed by jumping into this big, massive goal of now turning the whole thing back around. And now I'm able to turn around and help other people through their struggles.
So tell us a little bit about what Higher Ground does.
Higher Ground is really all about trying to have empowerment. Many of the people that come through the different programs, again, we're based in Sun Valley. And so it's a little ski town in the middle of nowhere. And so that the mountain, from skiing to fly fishing to cross country to mountain biking, all these people, a lot of the military, folks who've come through there, they've had their legs or other parts of their body, blown off, and they've got a lot of cognitive issues. And so it's really having people go do these things, and it's by doing, and those people are able to really reach down and say, I can do it, and felt heard, has really had this amazing effect on their healing and where they've gone. It's really incredible.
I agree with you. I think that's an amazing program. That Sierra Delta is here today. That's BJ Gaddams Foundation. I'm sure you'll be speaking with those guys. But not only do you do work with Higher Ground, the NFL also made a film about your story, correct?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it's been a beautiful thing. Originally when they called me up, and this is a year ago in January 2021, and I don't think they really had an idea. I mean, they knew that there's this guy, this ex-jock who's climbing mountains, and I was now on Mount Everest, the biggest mountain of them all. But they really didn't know the story, and the story really turned out to be this beautiful 30-minute documentary, really about why I got in the mountains, about the healing that I had to go through. Then I was able to turn around and understand that my daughter Amelia, who was going through some really difficult period of time, it really became my why, it became my purpose. And I really needed that, especially when I was coming down off that mountain on May 23rd, 2021. I ran out of oxygen. I became snowblind. My Sherpa had left me. I hadn't eaten in 3 days. I was in a cyclone. I mean, it was tough. And it was like every single thing I had to get off that mountain and get back down. And again, when you are at that mission critical phase and you have to really dig down, And I'm thinking about my daughter and the struggles that she has gone through from having daily seizures. Imagine that. Imagine if you had 10 seizures every flipping day. And then let me tell you, that was a win. That would be a win. And so here's the miracle, and here's the beautiful thing, is that the NFL has thrown money into this great cause. The Raiders have thrown money into this, a lot of other very generous people. But because we created this campaign called Amelia's Everest, because we put her up on the platform, not me, her, because she's become kind of the poster child, she's had to speak in front of 350 people and admit in front of everybody that she has epilepsy, which was a really hard thing for her to do. Because of that empowerment that we're talking about, she's not had a seizure in 12 months. She's 23 years old now, and this started when she was 8. Incredible.
That's great news to hear. I know it's very hard to be open and transparent, a very vulnerable feeling to have to get up on a stage and talk about that, especially with your peers and other people that you're worried about. And when you talk about what you went through, you talked about losing oxygen, snow blind, and everything else. Talk a little bit about the training you put in advance to prepare for that climb. Because I know it's not just like wake up in the morning and decide to go jump up the mountain.
It was funny because I was just talking to somebody else who wants to talk to me later. I won't name who, but they're going, "Oh, tell me about that little trek you're on." And I'm like, I don't think, it's 2 months of pain and suffering, and you really have to embrace suffering. I mean, that's just the bottom line. And, I think my NFL career really helped me in terms of going through all those two-a-days and the stress and everything else that you have to deal with when you're playing at that kind of level. And in 2020, we were supposed to go to Mount Everest. And, of course, the world shut down due to COVID. And so I doubled down. And when I doubled down, what I mean by I said, not only am I going to double my goal, not only was I going to climb Mount Everest, I was going to come back down, jump in my tent for 4 hours, and then go back up the other side, which is called Lhotse. It's the 4th highest mountain in the world at 27,940 feet. And that was the goal. And so I realized that for me to have that kind of goal, I had to have a training that was going to go way beyond anything I'd ever done. And so last January, February, and March, I put on 150,000 vertical feet climbing in Sun Valley, Idaho, which is where I live. I also moved there a couple years ago to really commit to living at 6,000 feet, not at sea level like we're here today in Los Angeles, and being able to take those things on and be able to function much better at altitude. And so at the end of the day, because of all my struggles on Mount Everest, I was not able to climb Lhotse, but I can tell you with all certainty that I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to you if I had taken that on. But all that training, I had to use every single one of those chits I put in the bank, and they helped me get off Mount Everest in a very successful way.
I think that's a great story, Mark. I guess I want to talk to you about your commitment to giving back, because you're doing big things. You're raising a big chunk of money for good. Did you have a mentor when you were in NFL? Did you have a coach or an owner or anybody telling you, hey, Mark, it's really important that you give back? Or did this happen after your career with the NFL ended?
No, I have to give a lot of credit to Chris Long, because I wasn't even thinking about this, because we all get on with life and you have little kids and all that kind of stuff. And in the NFL, I was probably way more selfish than I needed to be, because it's all about me, and every one of these players in order to survive. And that's just where my mind was. And so I think that's also part of the beautiful thing about life. I have a podcast called Finding Your Summit, and it's all about people overcoming adversity and finding their way. And to listen to people's struggles has really opened my heart in a way bigger way. That's number one. And then again, going back to Chris Long, I mean, he's been an amazing influence in terms of what he was doing. And so he exposed me. We were in these villages in East Africa and Tanzania and the Maasai tribe, and seeing them and their homes, which are these stick huts living on dirt, and the currency is a goat. Think about that. And all that we have, right? And so I was really to understand much higher level compassion. And then after a couple of years of helping out water boys, and my daughter was going through mission critical things, and there were seizures, and going into Grand Mall, that category, it was just like, you know what, there's got to be a bigger picture. And it's great I'm helping these people in Africa, but what I really need to do right now is help my daughter. And that's what I needed to do.
So first of all, I think that's commendable, and we shouldn't even have to say that. That's just the way it should be. I just want to shout out that podcast again because I know you can go to YouTube, you can find that it's Finding Your Summit. Even more importantly, people can just go to markpattisonnfl.com.
Yeah.
And everything's on there. They can connect with you about speaking. They can give to Higher Ground. They can give to Higher Ground. They can learn more about your summits. They can learn.
Yeah, and like let's go back to the film, right? So searching for the summit, you can find the movie link on that website, my website, markpattisonnfl.com. And one of the beautiful things about the film is that when it came out, I went to the NFL. I went back to them and said, okay, I know you're going to put this out on your channel, but why don't we run this film in a couple theaters? And so we ran the film and we charged for tickets at 100%, and this is like $50 tickets. So 100% of all the ticket proceeds that we raised to see the film, the premiere in Some Valley, Idaho, and we also did it on a little island called Bainbridge Island outside of Seattle. We sold out, raised a bunch more money, probably $30,000 just in that alone. And so it was just like, again, it was an opportunity that came up, and it was just like, there's a bigger picture here. So let's come together and let's form something that's going to move. Now, the one ask and the only ask I'm asking your audience is, once you go onto that website, markpattisonnfl.com, I have a little YouTube button, and what I'm trying to do is get 1,000 subscribers, because once we do that, we can start making money. Every single day, I'm posting my Mount Everest videos. I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of all these mountains I've been on. You can watch these cool little, quick hit videos, and all you got to do is subscribe. And once we get to 1,000 subscribers, you start getting paid by YouTube, and we're forwarding that money to Higher Ground to help other people. So again, it's an opportunity with this reservoir of this library of really cool videos that I know people want to see. All you have to do is do your part and subscribe. You don't have to donate. You don't have to do anything, and YouTube will pay. So we pay it forward to helping others, and that's what it's all about.
I think that's great. When you talk about the technology that's out there now, our viewers and listeners really have a passion for this patient support philanthropy. We continually get people asking us to help them identify causes that will be connected with their passions and their interests. We always say, I don't care what you choose to be passionate and interested in. Do something, right? Go and help someone. And so a lot of people come and look for that. So I know Kayla's putting up in the chat and on the screen contact information so people can get to you. So we'll let you share that. About the YouTube channel for that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I answer all the emails. Go markpattisonnfl.com. You can find it all right there. There's a contact form. It goes right to me. I engage with everybody. My podcasts are rocking, and it's really to me about, as I kind of go into this last chapter of life, if that's what you want to call it, about giving back, about helping, and like I've seen a miracle at work with my own daughter, and I know if I can have that small impact on them, then it could be an impact on others. I spoke in Salt Lake City last week to 30 super duper high at-risk kids. I didn't make a penny on that, but even if only one kid heard me, I don't know if anybody heard me, but it was just me talking about Everest, and like everything is possible. Like I had people tell me I'd never make the NFL. I told me, like, are you crazy? You're going to go Mount Everest, you're going to die. You're for sure going to, why do I have to die? Why can't I make the NFL? Why can't I be an executive in Sports Illustrated? Why can't we do these things? And the answer is you can, but most people don't step into that, right? And that's what it's all about.
So I'm going to ask you one thing, and we didn't even mention Sports Illustrated, but yes, you're at Sports Illustrated now. You know, Mark, that I've been watching a lot of kids and youth watch my shows, and they say, like, wow, Miss B, you've got these crazy people. I want to be like them. How do I be like them? Mark, you please take just a moment and inspire great people who don't think they can.
Well, the first thing, you have to have the right mindset. The right mindset is you can. And that's number one. Number two, you have to be really passionate about what you do. I mean, I have been the hardest working person out there, and that at the end of the day has probably been the main ingredient which has got me to where I've ever gotten. And I've fallen on my face a whole bunch. Finding Your Summit is all about peaks and valleys. I've had a lot of valleys, and it's really fun to be on a peak too. But I had to like bite my tongue a few times, in order to get to where I am today. And I was never a great NFL player. I mean, so it's not all about the sparkly things. It's about the adversity that you'd have come through. And so shedding that negative weight, being around people that are going to lift you up, stepping into fear, doing whatever you want to do with daily discipline, committing to the end and not giving up just because somebody goes up to me and says, you can't do it. You'll never make it Mount Everest. How could you ever play in the NFL? All these different things, right? You got to surround yourself and make it happen and put yourself in the right spot to actually achieve these different things.
Thank you so much, Roy.
Mark, we appreciate you taking the time to jump on with us. Very inspirational, and I think that what really hits it for me is the amount of time and effort that they put into preparing. A lot of people see the end result, right? They watch the game on Sunday. They don't realize how much time and effort is put in by every single athlete that's on that field. Years and years of preparation and practice. And so for the people that are sitting at home, I always look at the mental side of it. So many people are working on the physical aspects of it. So as you prepared yourself to compete, both in the NFL, in the climbs, what kind of mental preparation did you do?
Well, I think there's no replacement for that other than doing it. I mentioned earlier, like in climbing these mountains, I think doing things breeds confidence. When I was climbing and training 150,000 vertical feet, that's a lot of times going up and down. And every single time I did in the dark, I had a headlamp on. I climbed to the top of the mountain. I ski back down by myself. Winds blowing, snow coming down, 4 degrees. And it's not fun to be out there. But you got to find some deep down motivation. And again, that gets back down to will. It gets back down to purpose on why you're actually doing it. If you don't have a strong why, it's just too easy to give up, right? And my strong why for climbing was to get myself up and back down, in one piece. And to help my daughter and help others. And that's really what, is the motivation. And I think that's really where that's like the super duper jet fuel that gets you going and propels you to the things that you want to do. Some people have to work harder than others. You mentioned, Roy, that your good friend is Ricky Jackson, all pro. He's only one of 4 Saints that are in the Ring of Honor in the Superdome. And, a guy like me had to work way harder than a guy like him. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a phenomenal player because he had more talent. And I recognize that he had more talent. So that just meant, like, if he put in 2 hours, I'm not saying he worked less. I just don't know what he did. But I knew that for me to, like, hang with those guys, I had to do double whatever everybody else was doing. And that was just the way my life has played out. And it's been pretty consistent with all these different things that we've done.
Yeah, Mark, I appreciate you so much. To me, when it comes to building stronger, healthier, and more inclusive communities, you are the epitome of all of that. And I'm so grateful for you. I know you've been on Legacy After the Locker Room in the past, sharing this message of creating hope and possibility through sports. I'm so grateful for the work you've done. I thank you for sitting here today, taking time out of your busy schedule on Radio Row to talk about your work with Higher Ground and the work you're doing to raise money, to give back, to make the community better. Roy, do us a favor and take us out.
Thank you, Kayla. Mark, again, thanks for being here. For all our viewers and listeners, we appreciate you taking the time to jump on with us live from Radio Row, Super Bowl 56. Over Kayla Bradham, Roy Kessel signing off for the 49 Network. Please remember to live generous.